How's it going, my people? It's your boy Jeff, the Master Barber. In this edition, I'm gonna show you the trimmers that I have, why I have them. I'm gonna show you some of them that I still have. Other ones, obviously, I don't have them right now. If I wish I still have them so I could show them and explain it to you why I like them and why not. But at least I'm gonna show you what I have in my arsenal still, right? If you wanna see any other type of videos or comparison, please let me know in the comment section. I read the comments and keep in mind any suggestion that you guys will have. But yeah, let's start this video. What's going on, my people? So it's been so many trimmers and so many years, so I put it from the oldest to the latest. I'm not gonna remember exactly the time. I've been through so many clippers and trimmers, so I'm doing my best what I'm putting in each position. So yeah, let's begin right away. This one is the Andy T liner. Back in 1994, this was my first trimmer. It was the cable. It definitely has the torque. It was one of the strongest trimmer at that time. This one that had the T liner, the outliner, and they had the GTX, right? This one I put the blade. I don't know if you could tell, but I put the GTS. It has the bigger toothies. The only thing about this blade is that blade was so weak that if you didn't careful, you always end up getting chipped up. But this machine, the only thing that it did suffer, it was from the heat. It used to get hot, and then if you try to clean hairs on the side, it used to nag a lot. So what I used to use the most, it was obviously cleaning really slow, and then for lineups, she was a beast. And this trimmer at that time, you could find it for like 58 bucks. Like I said, the torque on this trimmer was really good. Some people like the T outliner blade for the cable one. I didn't like it. I like more the GTX. It worked out much better. Then I remember like a couple of years later, I ended up getting the GTX back in like 98, 99. But this one I bought a couple of years ago, and this one I ended up cutting it. What they used to suffer, both of this machine, it was from this right here. You see that screw? In order to adjust that, get it calibrated right and running right so it didn't nag, you have to adjust the tension screw right there, right? You have to always take those two screws, and then you did that, then you calibrate it. So you went through that mission. But then someone by the name Morono one, I think it was in 2014, 2012, he's the one that started doing the skeleton, basically cutting it outside, and it looked like it was a skeleton, right? The reason behind it, it was one, get better visibility. Two, when you need to adjust this trimmer, it was easy. You didn't have to take out the cover. And then three, for the heat, so that way it didn't get hot that much. What I like about this trimmer, the GTS, compared to T liner, not with this blade, but with the GTX, what I like, it was the blade. The blade with this machine made it much better, more sharper. Then I went with this one. There was also the Skyliner, and then there's this one that I think is Skyliner, if I'm not mistaken. It's by Andy, and this is a cable one too. And Andy had a bunch of other trimmers too. It's just these are the ones that I use personally myself, right? This one also had the head, to shave the like electric shaver, and it was the first trimmer that it was detachable. Also, the blade that it had, it was similar to the Andy's GTX. The only thing that I didn't like, how this trimmer, it didn't have like the torque that the GTX did have. What I use it mostly, that it was good at that time, it was for the shaving head as an electric shaver instead of the trimmer. I didn't like the trimmer. So then in 2012, the Hero came out. It had a lot of power. It was small, it was comfortable. It was, compared to the other trimmers, it was very small, but it was powerful. And it had the wall detailer's blade to it, the TY blade, and it came with a small one. What I did at first, I put the detailer TY blade, and it used to work out just fine. But then I ended up buying the wall detailer, and this one it was the tattoo. It was the blade, it was just to do design. If you notice, it didn't have the teeth there, it just had that one. And so I used to use it for like to do design, but in reality I didn't like it. I was just testing it, but I didn't like it. I'd rather do the design with the corners of the trimmer, right? I ended up leaving it like that. And then when the wall detailer came out, that's when it started changing. I'm like, wow, finally the wall. Usually they're good on clippers at that time, but they didn't have no trimmer. And they came out with this trimmer. It was still small, but it was super quiet. And then I like the button right there, and I was like, oh man. And then the blade, it was pretty good. The only thing that the minute that you let it drop, you were not able to fix it, right? Because it would have not adjusted just right. This one in particular, I put the T-aligner blade, and this one I did the modification. I put the ECM, Elite Modifications Clipper. I put the modification and I converted it into Andy's T-aligner, because that's one thing I like about Andy's. I love the blade. I took the best of both worlds. She worked out and she's still working out. The only thing that I still haven't, you know, once you have the latest tool and no cable and everything, you know how it is. So then 2018, that's when my favorite trimmer came out. This one, I was cleaning it, forgot, leave it, dried it out. It kind of, the liquid went kind of inside a little bit, the blade cleaner, it stopped working. So I ended up buying, that's why I have two. So I ended up buying another one. And then I left this one for pieces, just in case if something break on this one, I have a backup, right? What I like about this one, it was the factory blade, awesome. Like T-aligner, the small T, it was awesome. But then I was curious. I was like, let me put the GTX to see how it will be like a cordless GTX, right? That's what I was thinking. But when I put it, it didn't hit the same. So I ended up putting back the T-aligner, the regular blade, and believe it or not, even till I think it was like 4 years ago, from 2018 to 2-3 years ago, the blade and everything, it was working perfectly. The Andy Slim. This one is now the Andy Slim Li. The Andy Slim Li, if you notice, it was a lot bigger. This is the first generation. This is the second generation. And then they had the third generation. They dropped like 2 years ago, right? So before we go any further, this one is the Andy Slim. One thing about this one, you see this one has a light and this one don't. So this one, it changed. Obviously the name says it, how it was slim and it was light. It was, I call it the barber pencil, you know, because it was so thin and you could kind of like draw with it. And people, it was still using it even to clean, even though it was not meant for that. And then people start putting the GTX blade because they wanted to use it to clean in the side, right? But one thing about this one, it changed the whole game. It was the first one with the station. But what happened was that because it was not Li, within maybe less than a year, if you didn't take out of the station, battery then ended up burning. And I was like, damn. So then that's when they fixed it. Like a year or 2 years later, they fixed it and they came out with the Andy Slim Li. Had the little light. It was bigger. Trust me, this trimmer right here is still one of my favorite. Charging station, the way how the ergonomic, more longer, much battery. The engine felt kind of almost the same, if not a little bit with more power. But yeah, Andy was the first company to make the charging station not only to the trimmers but to the clippers. I already talked about my favorite trimmer, which is this one right here, and as a matter of fact, let me put it right here in the station. Then it came out the wall detailer cordless. This machine, it changed everything too. It was more bigger, it had more power compared to this one that it was a lock wire. This one didn't feel like that powerful, but it still could clean and do the shape ups, everything fine. But then the power on this one, much better. They made it bigger and then they did the station. You know what I mean? Once they did the station, I was like, wow, finally the wall kind of advancing. To this one, if you could tell, also I put the GTX Z blade. Same thing, like I put it to the Andes. I put the GTX blade. Once this blade came out almost 2 years ago, this blade is freaking awesome. I recommend this blade. If you could put this blade on the regular, you cannot find the modification ECM. I recommend you to get the regular trimmer, Andy T-aligner, cordless, and you put this blade, the GTX-C, forget it, it's game over. You're gonna thank me later. But yeah, with this one, with the stock factory blade, I didn't like it as much. It nagged a little bit, and that's why I ended up doing the modification. This was the bevel. What I like about this one, it was detachable, and then it had the crown that you could move it, and the blade kind of, you adjust the calibration, right? And that was good. But the thing is that it give you a certain limit to calibrate it. It didn't completely calibrate it to my taste, right? Another thing that I didn't like about this one, that it didn't have no station. Another thing that I didn't like about this machine, it was that every time you take it out to clean it, whatever, and then you put it back, right? And then when it was time to clean it, it used to fall off easy, and I didn't like that. I mean, the ergonomics was beautiful, the silicone, the visibility. At that time also, it had one of the widest T blades out there. It was wider than the T-aligner. I mean, this thing, it was even wider than the what was the one, Bolding, the wall Bolding blade. It was wider than that. But then this one, another thing that I like, it was the concept of the battery. Before Babyliss came out with the snap effects, this one had the battery, that technology in that time, right? Then this was the game changer, even though I didn't like it as much as I thought that I would. Most of you guys barbers love this, and it's okay. Everybody got their own little taste. That's why we got different machine, and we keep trying it. And when something is new, we try to see if we adjust and it become better, why not. And I thought about this one that it was gonna be excellent just because it had the, you know, the visibility. It was hard, it was solid, and then when you turn it on, it kind of remind me of the Skyliner, but not because of the body, but the solid and the side, right? And then what I like about this one, that it was, you could actually pass it in the side and it didn't nag. You know what I mean? You could go through here like nothing. The two things that I didn't like, well, three. The three things that I didn't like is that, to me, when it cleans in the side compared to the blade of Andy had the most sharp and the most precise when it comes to do shape up, when it comes to clean. It cleans more thorough, it cleans more cleaner than this one. People are gonna argue with me, but you know, I have my opinion. I tested out, and I've been in the barber game, and I tried many trimmers, and trust me, that's how I felt. The second thing that I didn't like, the battery didn't last that long because it has so much power. The battery didn't last that long. Another thing, this one, see, it had like a delay at that time, the first generation. It has like a little delay. Another thing that I didn't like, it was that they didn't have the charging station. That was talking about 2018, and this trimmer, when they came out, they didn't have the charging station. But I kept it. The reason why I kept it, it was just to clean the side. Even though it didn't clean to the skin, I kept it, and that's what I use it for. But to do box out of the beard, I didn't use this because the blade is not precise. That was my opinion with this trimmer. Then the gamma heaters came out. The gamma heaters, I was like, they're trying to do like everything else, like Babyliss with the 360, whatever. But you know, then I like the little button, how it started, how quiet it was. I'm like, oh man. And then the blade that it had, it was actually pretty good, you know, they used to hit. And then I put the detailer blade on it, and it worked out too. And then with this one, I ended up putting the blade from the Andy Slim to this one with the ECM modification, and it was working. One thing I like about Gamma, that I was like, wow, this company is gonna be good. Even though it kind of look a little cheap with the chrome and kind of plasticky, right? They give you charging station. This one came out with the charging station. It give you 3 different body style, and I think it had 2 different blades too. So then I was like, you know, this trim is actually pretty good. And then the price, it was also affordable, and the presentation and whatnot. So yeah, this one's still working, and I still have it, and it was kind of a good trimmer. What it kind of remind me was a lot like the Andy Slim line, just a little tiny. And then obviously because you have better visibility, and then it took the spot from the Andy Slim line. Then a couple of years after, my second favorite, that's my first trimmers to this day that I like, right? This is my second trimmer that I love to this day. Gamma X Ergo, 10,000 RPMs, the microchip, the Evo's regular Evo, and then the X. The X has the microchip, and then the way how it looked, I was like blown away. One thing that I didn't like was this one. They give you 2 blades. The 2 blades, they're okay. They were okay. But once the Elite modification throw the base, the plastic base, to do the conversion to put the Andy, it was the best of both worlds. And this one, believe it or not, I use it now to clean the side and to do designs, but I use that one to do the box out, to do the beard, for do sharper's line. I use that one. I use it also to do the side, but I don't want to risk that one to clean the side. So I take this one because it doesn't nag, and with the power, you clean everything, debulk everything really quick. So yeah, this is my second trimmer. As a matter of fact, let me put it in the station. Also, it had the station. Also, it had different type of covers. Then it came out the Andy Slim GTX, right? A lot of people with the old one, this is what they used to do. They used to put the conversion of the blade, of the GTX blade, and put it into the Andy. This trimmer with the small blade, it was more to detail, to go around the uncomfortable areas, around the mustache, around the ear, for the little kids. It was a quiet and not too aggressive, right? And then barbers, they were still using it to clean, but because it had a small blade, people that were doing the modification, they were putting the GTX blade. This one, I still have it. It's okay. And then this one also, they changed a little bit the color, which I like, but I didn't like this blade. You know why? Because the blade is a lot heavier than the small one. It would have been okay if they would have added more power when they put this blade, but they didn't do that, and to me, it didn't have the power. I mean, I still use it here and there, but it's not like one of my, you know, right now to go get it. Then I end up buying Low Pro FX trimmer, came out, and I'm like, oh man, that looks solid. That kind of reminisced me of when the first generation of the Babyliss trimmer came out, that it was kind of like solid. I was like, maybe they fixed the blade, you know? And I'm like, let me try it. So I end up actually putting the blade from this one to this one, and it kind of did hit a little bit better, but it's not sharp and precise as the Andy blade, right? One thing that I did like is the ergonomic on this one, how slim it is, how little it is, and definitely quiet compared to that one, right? But one thing again that I didn't like is at that time when they came out, it didn't have the charging station. Now fast forward, the clipper and the trimmer now has the charging station. Oh, another thing with this one, to me, I had time it gets warm, so that's why I end up putting it aside. Then the GTX came out. When the GTX came out, I was like, oh, definitely, it looks sexy and everything. But then when I noticed, compare the TL liner, listen to the TL liner, right? Now listen to the GTX. The power, this one is more powerful than this one, and this is the GTX. But one thing that I did like the most, it was the blade that it had. When I put that blade, like I said, on this one, and then I put it into my detailer, and then I put it into the ergo, it changed all the trimmers. The thing that I didn't like is, even though it's more visibility and you could see much better and whatnot, it's more loud because the piston is exposed and hair more quicker, believe it or not, get more in. It get more hair more quicker than this one. This one, it has a cover, so you protect the inside. I didn't like that. Also, this one has the charging station, and the charging station, that was neat. You know, I like the charging station. It looked like a trophy. It's solid. If there's one thing that I like about Andy's also, besides the blade, it is how the build quality is a real good, you know, it's like a BMW. The other ones, they're like Civics, and you know what I mean? I also have the FX, the red one, the FX3, but I didn't like that trimmer also because it was too big, it was too aggressive. I even put the blade of this one, the blade from this one, it fixed a little bit, but it was too aggressive, and it didn't have the charging station. So there we go. These are the trimmers on each explanation of it. If you have any question about them, let me know in the comments. So there you have it. Those are my trimmers right there. I know my English is not the best, but you know, I speak more Spanish than English. You know, it's hard to speak another language. You know, I try. I hope that you guys understand what I'm saying about the trimmers. You know, we all have different preference, you know. It's just like example, like colors. I may like blue. Some of you guys like blue, but I'm sure not all of you guys are gonna like blue. Some of you guys like red. I'm not run for liking blue, and I'm not run for liking black or red or any other color. So what I'm saying is the same scenario with the trimmers or the clippers. We gotta be grateful and thankful that we got all this company bringing different type of trimmers with different power and whatnot. These companies, it give us options. So if you don't like it, you get the next one. The only way that you're gonna find out if it works for you, not only by what I'm saying, but more when you try it for yourself. When you try it yourself and you not only try it, but give it the right maintenance, use it the right way. Each machine has different purpose and different use. Yeah, we need the tools, right? The tools are very important, but what is more important is the knowledge as a barber that you have for the tool. You know what I mean? Knowing how to take care of it and know how to use it. Yeah, just because I have a bunch of trimmer, that doesn't mean that I'm not taking what I'm preaching to myself. No, I have a channel. As you can see, I have and in Spanish, I have 151,000 subscribers. In that channel, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, doing all the reviews of those trimmer and giving the information to my Latin community. So now I'm doing it to this channel. That's That's why I'm doing this channel in English, not only to practice my English, but also to give the information to you guys to the best that I can. If you made it to this point, I would appreciate it if you give a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I recommend you to subscribe because I make video pretty much every day. I do live streaming, I do reviews, I do a bunch of stuff on this channel and in my other channel too. And now I'm back, but I started with this channel, you know what I mean? Because I already made a lot of content and videos. I have 1,400 videos in that channel. You guys want to see what I'm saying? Cool. But if not, I'm gonna start doing here in English. But yeah, to all the 82 subscribers, wow, I'm blowing away. Thank you for all you 82 people in a week. I already gained like 70 something subscribers. That's unbelievable. People be like, wow, but you got a channel that has 152,000 and now you worry more for the one that has less, 82. The same how I start that one, I'm starting this one. And it's not that. Each and every one of you makes the difference. Like I said, I'm trying what I did in Spanish, I'm doing it now in English, and it gave me a challenge. It challenged me to practice my English. You know, that's what I'm doing. And not only that, but it gives information. So yeah, I appreciate you 82 subscribers. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.